Who'd you fucking expect? Phil Collins? Hello, and welcome to episode 154 of Prog Review. And I shall be reviewing Face Value by Mr. Bill Collins. Oh yes, here he is. So there you go. And it's part of this thing where I look at the various Genesis members' solo albums and we chat about them. Released 9th of February 1981, but it was actually recorded between winter 79 and January 81. It's a nice surprise. And this period, this 3-year period, was a very productive period for Genesis and its component parts, because in the space of 3 years you had 5 albums in total produced from Collins, Banks and Rutherford, as well as 2 Genesis albums. So very busy period, a lot done in a short period of time. And this album begins with that song, and you know the song, you know the one I'm talking about. It's that song, the one that goes ba-dum, 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 ba, ba. You know the song, you know it. And it's the song about Bill drowning his wife. Or is it Bill watching a man drowning? Or something? I don't know. It goes on. But, seriously, what's there to say about In the Air Tonight that hasn't been said already? It's the calling card of the album, and it's a very strong track to open with, and it demonstrates a depth of songwriting that's missing from his Genesis colleagues. And in 5 minutes 37 seconds, Mr. Collins ratchets up the tension until those drums pound in a good 3 minutes in, or how long it is, and then we have release, tense and release, tension and release. That's the song. And outwardly, with the drum machine and the the synth chords, it appears quite a simplistic song, but it has a sophistication lacking in anything that his peers produced at the time. It's iconic, and it will continue to be iconic for years to come. And dare I say it, may even outlive any contribution from himself or Genesis or his cohorts in future times. This song will be remembered. It is a classic. And then there's a 360-degree tone shift with This Must Be Love. And it's a soppy love song, but even us frosty-hearted, logical, beard-stroking prog fans can have a little room in their lives for matters of love. Oh yes, indeed. And again, it demonstrates a maturity and depth lacking in his bandmates. You just listen to Curious Feeling or Small Creeps Day. It's soulful, plaintive, and it hints at what's to come with Genesis. Thinks in too deep. Behind the Lines. Oh yes. I bet you die-hard Genesis fans hate this one, don't you? How dare Bill mess with the classics? How dare he? Naughty Bill, naughty! But he makes it swing and turns something big and bombastic, the original version, into something playful and very different. However, if you listen and you notice, his vocal phrasing is almost exactly the same as the Genesis version. And I like it because it shows you how you can reinterpret songs, without turning it into a fucking Steve Hackett flavoured sonic shitstorm. You know what I mean. We've all been here long enough. You know what I'm saying. Then we hit the progressive part of the album. Oh yes, indeed. There are 3 interlinked songs. It starts with the Delta blues infused The Roof Is Leaking, complete with pedal steel guitar, and once again we get something very different, stylistically very different from Collins. Again, the slide guitar on it is great playing. There's some banjo, and Collins paints a picture with his voice, with great conviction, and it's the likes of which we've not heard with Genesis at that point. He's very much acting, singing the part, very much into it, and it feels very genuine performance. And with Genesis, I don't think you always get that from him. Here, you get it. And then this merges beautifully into droned. And we head into ambient instrumental territory, and there are healthy splashes of world music with violin player Shankar, who later appears with Peter Gabriel. And he also adds some great vocal rhythms, towards the end. It's not very good, really, is it? And I absolutely love the track. Again, I'm going to say it shows a sophistication lacking with Genesis. It really does. It brings something new. I mean, even Peter Gabriel, this is quite different and sophisticated and new and progressive all at once. And it's very brave, it's very progressive, and it's probably a lot more progressive than you probably give it credit. Honest. And then we're into Hand in Hand, and the trilogy is complete. And again, I love this track with every fibre of my being. I sincerely do. I love the keyboard phrasing. I love the gurgling bass, the hummed vocoder melody line. Oh, yes. And when the drums and the children from the churches of Los Angeles start singing, the hairs on my arms go up, and then blammo, the horns come in. And we're all nodding our heads, and we're rocking the groove, my friends. We are rocking the groove. Oh, yes. And I think this song, again, whenever I hear it, I just think it's a work of brilliance. It really is. I love the multi-layers to it. I love the drumming from Collins that underpins everything. You listen to the drumming, you can hear him enjoying his space. It's just really good. And every so often you hear the drum machine chirp in like a Randy Cricket, and oh yeah. And everything for a moment feels absolutely right with the world. It really does. Oh, now take a breath. Oh, that was good, wasn't it? Now, one of the things I really like about the album is the addition of the Phoenix horns from Earth, Wind and Fire. Now, a lot of the record producers at the time told him, don't have anything to do with this. Don't put horns on it, it'll ruin it. But I like the way that they're used, and they're used well. And on I Missed Again, it's very good. And it's another soulful effort from Collins. But I think you'll also agree that it could actually sit nicely on the Abacab album. Oh, yeah. And it certainly signs that album out nicely. It's like, hey, this is what's coming. But when it comes to you know what I mean, it's one ballad too far for me, and I'm not too keen on it. It sounds too much like Many Too Many. And although it acts as a good counterpoint between the tracks here, I can't help just kind of zoning out on it. I have a problem with these ballads, but more of that later. Thunder and Lightning opens up with a great bass run and those horns again, and it's a guilty pleasure. I shouldn't like the track. It's very upbeat, it's very poppy, it's full of energy, and it's uplifting, and it's very infectious, and you can't help singing along. I think you'll agree. You agree with me? Huh? And the infectious melodies continue with I'm Not Moving, which to these ears seems to share musical DNA with Pigeons from Genesis's Match of the Day EP. Again, it's a light piece of soulful pop which uses the vocoder to great effect. Another ballad features as the penultimate track, and I'm very tired of hearing about Bill's failed relationships, and I have this problem, you see. I come from a certain generation that used to watch Spitting Image. It was a British satirical TV programme, and in fact the people that designed the puppets for Spitting Image did the puppets for Land of Confusion video, and they used to do sketches featuring Bill Collins, and every time his relationship break down, he'd sit at the piano and start writing, his tears spurting everywhere. And so whenever I hear a ballad, I instantly think of those sketches, and I smirk, and it's not a good starting point. It's okay. It's okay, apart from the girly backing vocals toward the midway point, but what can you do? And the album concludes with one of the best covers ever. It's Tomorrow Never Knows, and it's one of the best covers of Tomorrow Never Knows. Sorry, it's either this or the 801 version, which Eno does. Quite like that one as well. Can never decide, but hey, I never know. Tomorrow I might know. Well, hey, and using various studio trickery, he manages to combine bits of the album together to make a tribute to the Fab Four. Indeed, bits of the album are used in the backward loops, and various violins and samples, and it's all very, very good. It's a really good homage to the Beatles, and I love it. And if you stick around to the ending and turn the volume up, you get a little trickle of Over the Rainbow too. Look, I'm going to give this 5 hands in hands out of 5. Yes, that's 5 hands in hands out of 5. It's a classic album. And it's up there with Dark Side of the Moon, A Night at the Opera, Are You Experienced, Need I Go On? How so, you ask? This is the story of how a drummer was brave enough to step out from behind his kit, walk in the shadow of an icon, and then, after serving 5 years apprenticeship, he proves himself to the public that he really is a musician after all. But remember, he's just a drummer, but he produces this album. Yeah, he's got people helping him, he's got guests, but the majority of the demo tracks were already recorded, and he just had it filled out with guests. And what I like about it is it's a diverse collection, it's well crafted, and even today it sounds absolutely brilliant. It's one of those albums that doesn't need remastering because the dynamics have been preserved, and it shows him as a musician and a songwriter first and foremost. And if you want to whinge and curse about him ruining Genesis and making them poppy, do you think it would have been any different if Peter Gabriel had stayed or Steve Hackett had stayed? No, it would have been exactly the same. Even Gabriel had pop hits and solo hits with Sledgehammer, etc., and Hackett had dallied with the lighter end of rock. So I'd rather listen to this than listen to A Curious Feeling again. And Collins was the arranger. He told him to discard the rubbish bits on the album, and it's evident on this record. It is a songwriting and arranging masterclass. And that's it. My name's been Darren Locke. Good night.